and afi China ɛnu no ɛyɛ papa ɛnu no sɛ wo pɛ slippers etu akoton me kanfo ɛyɛ Mike A collection ɛde ama slippers no sɛ ɛyɛ mba anase mbɛma deɛ anase empun enkwalas deɛ wo bɛ sorto out Mike A collection ɛna ɛsɛ wudi wani kye na ɛnyɛ no nko awo sɛ ɛyɛ enkwala totofe wa entale akwala wa wona nyɛnyɛ wo patale atamana me kanfo Mike A collection ɛde ama sanso na wo mu a wo mu ndri sɛ ɛyɛ mpelifo anase empun enkokra ntale nyina ubenye bi ɛwɔ Mike A collection Mike A collection sɛ men kan kyerɛw sɛ empo no sɛ wo all the 16 regions in Ghana wo pese wo to atale ni bi enu na sɛ wo be from keke no mbe twa delivery no wo beti wani no na watale na na sɛ wo slippers na wo beside na da wa boboa no enu nti make am for Mike A collection e dia ma omo nyama ne ye papa enu nti sɛ ye ma na sɛ embe man tale na sɛ slippers de fa oni kyerɛ Mike A collection sɛ wo pe ne dudu etu ana sɛ wo pe ne maako wo di wani kyerɛ ma so ye a wo mbe sorto out enu nti from e wa homa trofo so 0542 895 675 and I say 0277 160 768 and I say 050 464 3052 Mike A collection slippers papa and I say entale papa last stop anyhow
Sharon no akwa de oba na yemye herbal center na yemye herbal center ewo Kumasi Ejuso ntombe nechi hwa na yemye herbal center wo na yemye herbal center edwumedi a yedie ne se yehwe ntini mu yeboa woni pentini mentini nyankwa intini a eni nkwa ene yeboa sa ntini no ebiti se bema ne bema ewuo ayekojoto oba na yemye herbal center obema ne so ahodin nim eye dwuma enche na esi ni trase oba na yemye herbal center yetumi boa wo ma bema ni gya ne naso emma abasobo bi e wose yede ma wo bema no obema no so etumi nya sa abasobo de no na efiri ho kono na yemye herbal center eboa hwe woni pantini mu ade bi aye cholesterol fat esisi wu ntini mu kwan ama ntini ntumi nya dwuma sa ne ye no oba na yemye herbal center yetumi boa wo e wo sa kwan no so ma wundro na ye ha ye dwuma ye di nyina no eye pure organic orthodox medicine bi anim eye natural eduma ne ye nti na yemye herbal center kofa herbal things sonko e dia ba sa tin lewu ya eboa wo huru ntini mu eye ntini mu oduma nyina oba woni atenka oba na yemye herbal center ye boa wo oba okosinanim kakra bi na wotietim na tenka wo fom oba na yemye herbal center ye boa sa kwan ne so nyina ma wonya fa ahode na yemye herbal center ye kire kwan e wo Kumasi Ejuso ahemfie no nti wo hwehwe ya abra ho sela
Enya, aje for me si onfreye asiyemra. Ozo roofing company. Eye the number 1 roofing company in Ghana. Enu ti sa opesa obo dan so. Anasa fe na wusi dan na pesa obo so no. Fa won hihye nyina akodan ozo roofing. Say ye estimate enu wo futu no. Oba ni nyina ma wa. Onde iska bia. Na so de adwuma hye ozo roofing sa. We na basa hariso na adwuma no so hutwa. Eso wo iro tosa. Wo de bodan so ma wa. Edan mi nyunu. Owo alonsen self locker. Enu so de good dan so a. Ema dan ye fe. Owo aluminium self locker. Enu so good dinosaur yopo so person di nia e good dinosaur anase abelfo e aluminium truss CB ana person di good dinosaur uni wa okra ozo roof betwa ni yopo e di amount or standing seam or step tile sheet or shingles and IBR or color bonder ni nyina madanso bo ayefe the dinosaur so ewiemu die pa e na mo nyuma papa mu yentino they have branches all over the 60 regions in Ghana no mu adwuma po beyond the borders of Ghana and intiminia for ozo roof ne was 0249 647 748 and 0205 053 365 Rosa Roofing number 1 roofing company in Ghana Rosa Roofing Waba Amadanso Bo Aya Kono
Amuna oba ye krum se oba betray yamesu etre no to nipa etre no dia sanse akwanu mana dia sanyo akwanu mana dia sanyo akwanu mana dia sanyo
eba enejumi die so se na woni mu no e wake up Africa edukusiri dia noa na yede so and also a Bernardo say and let it be no at 12 fee. na ɔdoma nkɔ yankopɔn abɔ yɛn ho ban ɛma na wɔtwe etwi mu no sɛ aba na wɔtwe fufuro mu a ɛnda yɛ kusiada abodo mmienu na ɛkyerɛ sɛ yɛde nsɛm papa efiri ɔbɔ adeɛ ɛtwerɛ kronkron mu ɛne geopolitical issues sɛ na yɛde a wote no ɛyɛ da kusiada bia no ɛnda so yɛde ba abɛsom sɛ na wɔhwehwɛ no na ɛnɛ sɛdeɛ ɛteɛ no ɛnɛ yɛ 2nd April sɛ ɛnɛ yɛ 2nd April di a na ɛkyɛ sɛ yɛwɔ 2023 in 2023 dia ɛnɛ ɛyɛ mpanyinfoɔ mmienu a ɛyɛ edu kwesiri bi a wɔde di dwuma ɛyɛ wɔfa Poku Dankwa the National Executive Director ɛma Free the Mind Movement wabɛka yɛn sa saa so na ne ba Israel Nkrumah nso aba abɛka yɛn sa mɛnɛ edwumadi ɛba abɛso sɛna wɔhwehwɛ no dwumadi yɛn bɛso wɔ ɛyɛ dwumakuo bi ɛna so yɛasen so wɔntumi amoa a yɛntumi fa dwumadi ɛnso sɛna wɔhwehwɛ no ɛyɛ da kwesiri bia no Israel consult ɛboayen ama edidwumadi ɛbrɛw ɛyɛ da kwesiri bia saa so na Ozon's briefing ɛso yɛasen ama edidwumadi ɛbrɛw da kwesiri bia saa so na Mike A collection ɛso ɛboaw anaasɛ ɛboayen ɛma dwumadi yɛde brɛw ɛyɛ da kwesiri saa so na Nayɛmuye Herbal Center ɛso yɛasen ama edidwumadi ɛso saa so na Nico Multimedia ɛso ɛboayen ɛma edidwumadi ɛbrɛw ɛyɛ da kwesiri bia saa so na Nyamefie Herbal Center omoso eboaye ema edwumadi esum ɛda kwesiri bia saa dwumakuo nyinaa no omo boaye ema entumi dwumadi esum sɛne wo pɛ no edu da kwesiri bia na obebisa sɛ enne dear topic ena yɛbɛka ho asɛm the day of the Lord na no ne part 11 if I'm right part 11 ena enne yɛwu bedroom na wohu sɛne esitie na sɛne yɛkɔ na wotwe mu no yɛma unhu abakwasɛm kakra ɛfa Jewfoɔ ho ama yɛhu sɛ Jewfoɔ kura no asase na ɔmo te so no kura no ɛnyɛ ɔmo dia ɔmo yɛ nkɔfoɔ a na nka pɔtɔkasɛm yɛbɛtumi aka sɛ ɔmo yɛ Kazas nka nkɔfoɔ a mo deɛ asase no nyɛ ɔmo dia nanso esan ɛyɛ anibrɛ ɛne nhyehyɛe bi ɛkɔɔ so a ɛnɛ yɛhu saa nkɔfoɔ no asase so no saa asase ɔmo te so ɛnɛ no ɛnyɛ ɔmo dia wɔfa so ama yɛhu the political issues they cause we are say in terms of shape omo plan omo the bomb shishi mu a ekofa nsem bebre ba ya US body omo hu di mu be the first world war and then world war ekoso na no you say US there ntokwa no say ye ne dia kora na oje afa no ehu bebia efiri ba ye saa so na wotwe we su ye no ba be room ne akwa abakwase no ye ekoso ato aso se na be ye obehu Jewfoɔ bobre bebi omu gina ɛne sɛ ɛyampa sɛ ɔmo nko ne Nyankopɔn afrɛ ɔmo a sɛ wiase nyinaa no ɔmo de dada wiase sɛ ɔmo ne Nyankopɔn ba ɔmo atwi so ɔmo a yɛkɔ ɔmo bi ɛba a ɔmo kyerɛkyerɛ sɛ ɔmo deɛ ɔmo atete ɔmo mu ma Israel busua dumienu no ɔmo atete bi yɛ France fo bi yɛ Germany bi yɛ Ireland nanso mene yɛ nim sɛ abakwasɛm no sɛ abibifoɔ abakwasɛm na ɛwɔ twerɛ kronkron mu ɛyɛ mene ho asɛm na yɛka na sɛ saa Ireland dia adenti ɛna ɛba na saa sɛ bibifoɔ deɛ Nyankopɔn ammɔyɛ nanso deɛ wokan na sɛ deɛ wotie nyinaa no ɛyɛ ntoro ɛsiane sɛ ɔmo yɛ sɛ ankɔsopɔ ɔmo tu mfuturo gu nipa ni sɛ ɛbɛyɛ a mene ho kɛyɛ hu no korɛ na ɛsɛ ɛsiane sɛ Poku Dankwa nimdeɛ Nyankopɔn de ama no ɛne ne ba Israel Nkrumah a nhwɛmu ɔmo tumi ahwehwɛ nyama mu ama mu ma nokorɛ da adi no ɛnɛ so ɔmo de baba ma nokorɛ no ada adi sɛ ɛbɛyɛ a wobɛhu deɛ wɔ hɔ ɛwɔ wiase Israel deɛ ɔkaa ne sɛ ɛsiane sɛ deɛ panyin aka no ɛnɛ deɛ ɔde nsɛm kumaa bi ɛna tu dwa ana afei deɛ ɔbɔɔ ɛyɛ Passover ɛyɛ Pisaka ɛba so on the 5th April 2023 ɛwɔ Kumasi Cultural Center ɛyɛ Bantama no ɛno ho dawuro ɛna ɔbɔɔyɛ ɔsan so kaa sɛ bebree naa no ɛsiane sɛ ɔmum di afahyɛ firi ɔbɔ adeɛ no afahyɛ wei ɛna ɔbɔ adeɛ ahyɛ yɛn sɛ yɛndi no kronkron Millie Michael Asma ene sena woni mu dwumedi amia na medi mu chiamen na ene yɛbɛkɔ no part a sena bɛyɛ a wobɛhu ne wohu sɛ wiase no bebe yɛkɔ no ntoro akata no korɛ so na sɛ ntoro akata no korɛ so deɛ mpanimfoɔ mmienu ɛna wɔbɛboa ɛma yɛhu saa no korɛ no nyinaa na wobɛtumi aka show yi ho anaasɛ dwumedi yi ho through our social media handle ɛyɛ Facebook wokɔ yɛ Facebook a ɛyɛ Wake Up Africa GH saa so na ukọ YouTube a Wake Up Africa GH obetumi aka yɛn ho throughout no na wa text you message normal SMS any WhatsApp na normal SMS ne WhatsApp no deɛ ɛsɛ sɛ wo yɛ ne sɛ normal o de bɛ text no 0504643052 0504643052 eno ema ube yusu na odi a text na odi wutiri po aba efa enegwedi a ye ba bidi hu bebe na so tumi bisa se omoni didwedi a ekoso da kwesiri bia ye no omo so mpese omo sponsor se na mo free no bebe na wona betudwa na mo tumi afre na mo ne marketing line no adiscuss se omema mo kwan na mo advertise mo product a marketing segment no betumi aboa no omo no wa communicate very nicely se be ya obehu de se oye na utumi eton wade na nipa etu guso bebe ya no me dia se dia pesie ebema mpanifo mienu bi a eda kosiede bia no ombo mo modin eye eja nkansa wo so sunyane saaso na eja pare a wo sihwi eda wase se kosiede bia no na baje na ubie to na ma nipa bebe ye hu nkure maka se obedie one Lord FMBC eni se saa anso nyabotre nesu ade ko akiri na yehu de sese ebiye no me sebre na me nkoda mpinfo na di na efa ende dwumedie no enhye so Israel be wakwa ba
ndeso
apo mu
ho den se oman kube wo so no oman kube
asoro ma kube no
asoro na fa oman kube no enya ma kube oman kube owi anwe kase
yeah, that's it. Over Mike. Okaba. Apowe. Boko. Sina oni mu na ya samba. Yaba na ba betwa edwumedie so. Sa ref na na ba betwa so no. Na wotwetwe no unsemi na ma bona tofa. Me bese me san so esisi biem. Na ene de se na me pese ye be waste more time. Major platform na mo na de wo bia kan na so we hwia ban matirase
yesu no bas ye di kan be chia ahwepo nyina ne mpanimfo a omo ehwe bi na masachia jase hia o trade no se sa mere ono so aye krado a onso activity bi ho a wo hwe na mark me fa akonya yiso won sem ba ku mienu bia e pesa be danedi ema the branches no e wo Ghana nyina ya tete se ya na nkofo bi e so ya no mo bia ho no makodu ba bi ye ni mu nyina ye nipa ba ku ni abomie e pesa na me danedi se ye no bia nko apam se ya kan ye ho ambo na ye na ho anu kwa na no mu ka abom nti binumu ba ebe keke kansem we oma adwane ko enye no kure ene obi anko apam eduma yi fase ese ye no enkanchi obi se ihia emwa nti obi meka ho nyenye yenya ne ya dia ba bidu empempen so ayi wo saa so na wo mo dida bia no a onu gira ya na emu wo ho no so no se mo bre na mo pese mo kwa epuno ibie na mo pe mu ba ye ya ntu mu ntu pese o kwa eno ansa sa pasa fun mu ako na mo ye wa dwene se anya wo nkwa na wo ko na pese wo di edom no a wo da wo ma no ekodia ene na tese wa wo di tu abo nan enti mi masosa enti no so ka ho so wo ho na o peso pakoti kwan wo de ntro ene ensem en fata digu enkofu ani mu asemia ubenya wo mu adi wakidi wakwa ene eno so de obo ade ntra ho ema saa unsusu ye no abem ensem bebre wo ho do mu a yihia wukuada ewukumase a ye beda na the ba free the mind movement ba the ba se the be correct previous mistakes bi na me de me nka o TV so ha ekohia kumase wukuada ye nkomo a ibe didi ama ye ho no enu na be di mu akotene pa ebza adwuma kase bi eda ye ni mu a ese ye no nyina no ebe yi nanim mfiem so a ɛda yɛ nim enti de hia ma sɛ nso yɛ pagya yɛ mu na yɛtumi live to the expectation a ɔbɔ adeɛ ɛpɛ firi hɔ yɛ mpɛ sɛ meka ɛnɛ no ɛdɔ no no baabi ɛno no ɛba me nsɛm so na wotwetwa mu no yɛka biribi ɛfa Jewwee hɔ ɔmo yɛ a ɔmo bɛduru hɔ no wɔn a meyɛ who they were nti sɛ ɔbɛka Canadian times Israel breaks tradition first prime minister no kan biribi sɛ obiara a woyɛ politician woyɛ diplomat woyɛ senior military officer sisan wo Eastern European name no nepa Hebrew din sɛnea ɛbɛgye adi ne aka sɛ zɛnea ne nkɔfoɔ a wɔn ɛkan no yɛsan bɛ kenkan Israeli ambassadors mmienu a wɔn baa Ghana deɛ ne wɔwɔ ha a yɛdi Ghana at 50 yɛkan ne deɛ sɛ nhyehyɛdeɛ a ɛnya sɛ nkitahodie a Ghana ne Israel adi a ɔde abɛsi ɛna a yɛdi 50 years no akɔba sɛ yɛn nyinaa no yɛ relationship no date back to ancient times na wɔn wura nim sɛ Ghana ha yɛka sɛ yɛn nso efiri Israel ne bae saa na second ambassador no nso ɛbɛka ne deɛ 2019 sɛ ɛntura na ɔno de kɛyɛ tan nti yɛkɔwie sɛ nke yɛbɛyi video no edi kan no ne yɛhu sɛ deɛ esi tie batanyɛ a nti asam a bɛwie yɛn nkɔnkɔhwɛ first video for the day.
Okay, first video for the day, exposing the forged origin of so-called Jews. And then the first video, Idi Kanya Yabeshe. This is a crowd of Pacho Jatumain.
Eastern European Jews, who form 92% of the world population of those people who call themselves Jews, were originally Khazars. They were a warlike tribe that lived deep in the heart of Asia. And they were so warlike that even the Asiatics.
Any comments on Israel? We're asking everybody today. Any comments on Israel?
Tell them to get the hell out of Palestine.
Ooh. Any better comments?
Remember, these people are occupied, and it's their land. It's not German, it's not Poland.
So where should they go? What should they do?
They go home.
Where's the home?
Poland.
So the Jews,
Germany.
So the Jews go back to Poland and Germany?
And America and everywhere else.
Hello and welcome. Could the founding of Israel have been based on a total misunderstanding of history? One Israeli historian has created huge controversy with his findings that the idea of a single Jewish tribe is wrong, and that much of the justification for the founding of the Jewish state of Israel is actually political. Shlomo Sand, a professor of contemporary history at Tel Aviv University and author of the book The Invention of the Jewish People, which was on the bestseller list in Israel for several months and has recently been translated into English.
Show you who the true Hebrews or Jews are, or Yehudim. The people in Israel right now are not Jews. They're Khazars. Your true Jews or your true Yehudim are the so-called black person, or African American as you like to call them sometimes. They're not African at all. They're the true Jews. They're the true Hebrews that were brought over here on ships, which the scriptures mention.
آقا اینها یهودی اند و تو چرا ضد یهودی هستی؟ من گفتم ما که مطلقا ضد یهودی نیستیم، اما بدانید اینا دروغ میگن، اینا یهودی نیستند بلکه یک مشت جنایتکار فاسدند که از نام یهودیت سوء استفاده میکنند.
What does that God look like? The reality of it is when he came here, he didn't look like me. So what am I going to do about that? I'm going to make him look like me. So for hundreds of years we've been telling you, and now you have to keep in mind that we took away any other God that you might have through force, through fear, through pain, through any means necessary. So now I'm going to give you a God, but I'm going to do that in a way that is going to further me. So I'm going to give you a God that looks like me, so that when you bow down to that God, you're bowing down to me. Because the reality is, the Bible tells us what Jesus looked like when he walked here. The Bible tells us what he's going to look like when he comes back. We have taken that and changed it. Do you remember when Jesus went to Egypt? He hid in Egypt. The people in Egypt, honey, they're not white people. How could he hide that? See, so that we've done that. We've given your people a God that looks like me, so that you don't have any qualm about bowing down to me. See, because this is the image of God. I don't know of any sin that we've committed that's greater than that one.
If I were to tell you that blacks once had a great culture which exceeded the culture of whites, you'd probably find that pretty incredible. But we're talking about the ignored truths of history. Those of you who've been watching this show may perhaps recall that several weeks ago we talked about the fact that most of the Jews alive in the world today may actually be descendants of Russian converts. Now, Jews like to consider themselves to be descendants of Israel. So the fact that Russia was once a Jewish nation for 500 years, in fact, and that most Jews who are alive today may be more closely descended from Attila the Hun than from King Solomon, these are facts which are just glaring facts, and it's incredible that such things could be ignored. And the question of how such things could be ignored has an answer, and the answer is collusion. All the parties involved have silently agreed, even perhaps without ever talking to each other, they've silently agreed to just not discuss this subject. In the case of the Russian Khazar Jews, it's embarrassing and frightening to Jews to consider the possibility that they may actually be descendants of converts and may have very little Israeli blood in them. The whites wouldn't want to admit such a thing, because whites like to feel superior and like to think that their superiority is somehow permanent, decreed by God. As for blacks, if you look into the black civilizations that we're going to take a look at momentarily, you find something pretty interesting. You find that those civilizations actually arose as Jewish civilizations, but the truth of the matter is that the roots of black greatness historically lay in Judaism. For whitey, it's great to keep black down, and for the blacks, it's great to not admit that in the past you were a Jew.
Now another thing I want to touch on is in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Now the first 14 verses are talking about God is telling the Israelites, okay, if you keep my commands, this is what I'll do for you. The remaining verses, he's telling them, if you don't keep my commands, then this is what will happen. I want to read chapter 28 and verse 68. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you." Now, if you were to get a globe, and you were to look at where the Hebrew Israelites were at, they would not need a ship to get to Egypt. So God was obviously talking about something else. He wasn't talking about the physical land of Egypt. If you look in Exodus 13:3 and Deuteronomy 20 and verse 2, it refers to Egypt as a house of bondage. Now, I want to show you something, and I know everybody has seen this. I saw it a million times, but never paid any attention and never really thought twice about it. But on the back of the dollar bill, there's a pyramid. Now, pyramids are notorious with Egypt. I mean, you say pyramid, that's automatically what you think of is Egypt. So why would the United States of America put a pyramid on the back of their dollar bill. Now, with the word Egypt meaning house of bondage, God was obviously telling the Israelites, hey, I'm going to put you back into slavery. Now, the only race of people that were brought over on ships and sold as bondmen and bondwomen, which are slaves, are the so-called African Americans. That's the term that the white man has given them. Now, like I said before, if after you do this research, which I don't expect you to take anything that I'm telling you, look it up for yourself, do the research. That's what I did. Anytime I was shown a scripture, shown something in a book, I'd look it up myself and do the same thing. And if at the end of that you still can't see it, then I really don't know what else to say. But I want the Black Hebrew Israelites, I'm trying to help to get them woke up and to see the rich heritage that they really have, and what a blessing to be one of God's chosen people. I mean, honestly, I'd give my left foot to be one of God's chosen people.
Now, in case of Folino, you say exposing the forged origin of so-called Jews. A quayama, almost a quayama faso, ada, and confukubia, almost from Musa, we Jew for Saka Samphony, Adam, where they say, so swamp panel, almost Jew for. Then, Omoya and Confubia, a Kutukotna, no more Kotna assassin, no more fast assassin, say, a Modia. Now, professors in the F4 about Bontin testify say, some Kofuya, baby, now we are somebody that and say, we are due for a monet's fees in Yankupon or Mocasa, or Mona Yankupon, choose or my Viasano. Some Kofuya, we are the white people, they are not the white, they are not the real Jew. And I say, Omuye Jew for, and also Omuye Kofua, Omuye Kofua, but ye choose or more assassin. Now, already because 25, 13, on my 18, same year, said, some conform more claiming the reverse of the Asway, or more, I don't want you choose or more. As I say, we are so many new young who are more directed to acquire a fast way who said we are second. Professors BBC, some conform we are corrupt, or we are conform, or we are corrupt, dream can't kind as your mama. Now, side dream can't kind a conversation. Idea of man when you say a cassette dreamer and conform to your faculty can be so other than we are seeing as other than Kobe said, say no motier, Sana Jew for or motier. And the show Mokrampa, Karen, not Russia, and then Omokrama be a Jew pay. It is a Russia for be a Jew payer, and I didn't know Master Self Jew about Russians. No, I said, Sao conform one assassin or question mark a woman. The question mark let woman. A chelepe face omu yen tofo omu yen konfo Yankopon afọ en copy ni no na kwasa che no bi
yo that's na say you hear no different sources and omu nyina anu akobenkro mu kase wo so omu yesi say wo mu nye yo mpeso me na do twato kra no e ka bi say Deuteronomy 28:68 say go for wo mu ye ogbade e ma no ese se mo ansum me mo antie me ni a enye na sa do na ko Israel ye Deuteronomy 28:68 ite hona ye ba be free say wa ho say ewi asimu e ni pe ku be e na ko ba se wo mu ye bi wo mu pa ayakayaka biem ye say ya chi wo mu yakopon wo mu ye do wo fa nsuhyen e do wo mako ye nim say e before asem ene okay enti no se sa na tie dia ye ko scripture mu a Genesis 15:13 ye can say slavery foretold Abraham enya ni so ade hu bi mo ba de ka tere say wasefo ebeko enkwasum onugbo de o hihye Say in fear a hadman. Then what you know, almost ampa. Na woman ya, and you may be a good year be, a check be, and one besign at the abba. Do where last week travel. Wasn't there, Mobile, Money Abraham, Isaac, any Jacob, any Chakabia. Okay. Until now, Genesis 15:13, okay. A car, yeah, I can't say, Mona Mobile and Kwasum over Egypt. In fear a Hanai, any Adumbacom, and one must send an year. Okay. And not than China, the code declared 2068. And the very first picture, picture was say,
your picture the kind with shape, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 68.
I don't know one way do more call in Kwasum, you don't first to share. Okay. Now, you do more picture number, Mr. Abba, Inti Sabadia. I will be one shape, no. I am mamma. If you do quiet, Toto. In soon, okay. It's now the over picture there also one. Send me as show more ship moon. And a picture beer will history books to me now. Before any do more. Okay. And the second picture knows way. Your second picture no in chains. In chains. Ezekiel chapter 19, verse 4, 8 to 9. And also about now. Yeah, and also I'm saying back. I know. Yeah. One you be chain a go munsa and no munaya, it will more copy. Before. Okay. And there before once I'm the can say me Bromia, you be chain to me come, leave it to me naya, you didn't find to share say, you didn't come Israel. Okay. I want to moon throne. The pack home to man, and will be a home senior, city. Now they come by and they say, after AD 70, Roman Bobe Israel, Jerusalem, and when they mark the beginning of the mass migration of Judah and Benjamin. The city of Kakran West Africa. Now from West Africa, Anna, you among other Africans, the Roman friends to change the call Western Hemisphere. When they cotton as slaves. Engine, they tell me say from the 1440s, transatlantic slave trade started here. And before Kwana, the DNA we do call. And until West Africa coast, Ghana, the highest number of slave dungeons. Now warehouses for human cargo. My bed transport to and a buy. Ghana, you will be brave. About 40. Yeah. And they walk along the coast. Benin, one more back home, Vida. And a Senegal, so back home, Goree Island. Okay. You don't call your picture twice. Your picture twice, yes, a weekend agenda, 28 February 2003. Cape Coast Castle, where walls speak. And he said, Openi, Fatusumaya, Enfankayasem. Enfankayasem, the Enfankayasem. Cape Coast Castle is a picture number. The door of no return. Okay. And what they now do, Konya do P, now compare in Sushan. And ya dear, a better say, Madame Adia went to win some man, Machina Lepa, baby, one of mine, Edinkra. Maybe I will call you any one. And he is also one media. A hot and now juicy. One more from who juice, one them. One the transporters because slave ships, a woman there. One also not told slaves, because they were the sellers of the slaves. And say, you can about who was involved there. Who are Jews who play, your friend said, they were the transporters and they were the sellers Into the Jewish involvement, you know. Ubekai book Jewish involvement in black slave trade to the Americas by Rabbi Mackley Rather. A Jewish rabbi. That is the kind. First 2 paragraphs.
Okay.
Carmen.
Yo, son of God, Abodino. A merchant capitalism, commercial revolution, and territorial expansion that developed the new world and established the colonial economies. The Jewish Caribbean nexus provided Jews with the opportunity to claim their disproportionate influence in 17th and 18th century. New World Commerce and enable West India Jewry far outnumbering its core logist, further north to enjoy a certainty which North American Jewry would not achieve for a long time to come. Groups of Jews began to arrive in Suriname in the middle of the 17th century after the Portuguese regained control of northern Brazil by 1694. 27 years after the British had surrendered Suriname to the Dutch, there were about 100 Jewish families and 50 single Jews there, or about 570 persons. They possessed more than 40 estates and 9,000 slaves, contribute 25,905 pounds of sugar as a gift for building of a hospital, and carry on achieve trade with Newport and other colonial ports by 1730. Jewish owned 115 plantations and were a large part of sugar export business, which sent out 21,680 million pounds of sugar to European and New World market in 1730 alone.
And the Wakaya, a year Jufo, when I move control slaves, and I move to and then as I try, Rebecca said, Wana, a year was sent the other day, was about crew, and you win a crew, a year with ya. You're quite clear, how the man, slave ships maybe, and a war hand. Rebecca will briefly, okay, now yet to me, slave ships, no, okay, every day I say, Abigail, one more the others on a more only Aaron Lopez, Moses Levy, Jacob France, ethnicity, Jews for you buy another one, Crown, Isaac Levy, and Nathan Simpson, ethnicity, Jew, Mazu, Moses Levy, a Jew. 4 sisters, Moses Levy, a Jew, Annie and Eliza, Justin Boych and John Abrams, a Jew, Prudent Betty, Henry Glugent and Jacob Phoenix, a Jew, Hester, Onesneye, Modesia and David Gomza, a Jew, Elizabeth, Modesia and David Gomza, a Jew, Antigua, that's Nathan Maston and Abraham Lee, a Jew, Basti, WM D. Wolf, a Jew, Polly James D. Wolf, a Jew, White Horse, Jane the Sweet, a Jew, Expedition, John and Jacob Roosevelt, a Jew, Charlotte, Moses and Sam Levy and Jacob France, a Jew, Karaku, Moses and Sam Levy, a Jew. Why are they? Omuka no omu di omu dwa no ekupie Suriname. Okay. You can graphic, daily graphic, 20th August 1987.
Okay.
Yes, you say a picture. You better one son walking.
Okay, say picture no I crowd wa beneath to my name fanka yasem. 20th August 1987 graphic. Suriname brothers in the diaspora. Na since there was since I see no year kind. In Suriname, a wedding, in Suriname, Wednesday born name, as in Ghana, is Kweku, which symbolizes the nation resistant to slavery. About the next one, from time immemorial, Suriname believed and proudly testified that their ancestors who fell victim to slavery were black people stolen from Gold Coast, Ghana, but rebelled and escaped to freedom to present state of Suriname. You cut down one. Originally, Suriname was the home of Arawak Indians or Amerindians. The English colonized the place from 1630 to 1667, when the British left it to the Dutch in exchange for New York, that is into bracket US, which was then known as New Amsterdam, after signing the Treaty of Breda. Dutch is the official language, and Saranatonga is the most popular local language, mixed with Akan, Dutch, English, and Indian. Suriname can be described as a multi-racial society, yet the people culture is highly dominated by Akans, into bracket Ashantis tradition. A typical example is the popularity of names like Edu, and those of the days like Kweku, Kojo, Kwesi, and etc. And you unananum emra ekase wenumu juvo ebe control market no wo Suriname no na unananum edo mo akwa kugu hodada wo mu ena wo mamamre abe dominate Suriname sisi ye kase. You go here second video. Okay. You be share your video etoso mienu na koso afa o messages bra. Jumedi say na wo hwe no ho. You koso abon kai say on the 5th of April 2023, Free the Mind movement the program be brew a first in kind a friend PISA, popularly known as Passover the brew Kumasi Bantama Cultural Center. A ho and a yedi brew na edano eye enimbre edidi se na wonim no amamre ene se na obo ade ahye ne mba se India fashion nyina ebetuatua so Kumasi na edano eye guada enimre nonum kan na dwumedi no ahyase mo ho modern se osu betumi aba na obehu obo ade afahye wundi bida na ubedi bi na afede wanya obo ade nhira a orpeso di hira ne mba esan se o kan Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 68 no se yentie na asamo a saa so twe no yebesa akomu ba na asotwe bi se de waka kire se ye no na wonye no eno ho asotwe na obenya afahye ye di Christmas ye di Easter che hwe bebre na di Easter ye di Easter bone ne nyama nipa eye ne nkwase asem a ye di ewo Easter brem no wo de compare sa obade afahye no ene ne mbobra baako se we ye kronkron obi bi se wafade eye den wafade eye African wear enye se ehye se fita na mum oba na woni kipa eche a ye hye a oba ubenye bi ato na wotimi ahye na wodi afahye no oba enye gidigidi esan se ye wo krachefo ho a omoye asrafo na waye waadwen se wo pese wo se ne amade a ene wotiri beben mesero eti e beka ye video a etoso mienu a kire Black Hebrews in Jewish slave ships and only ye second video a ye ba mehwe opening aya kradwa jegum wan that's it.
Yes, the black African Shemites were actually then taken away in slave ships. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And who were the owners of these slave ships? Who were the biggest slavers in the 16th century? The Ashkenazi were the biggest slavers in the 16th and 17th century, going into the 18th century. You see, Ashkenazi slaving was huge. This is from, I have to be careful when I say this, so my sources, it's always best to go with Jewish sources, right? Because you just trod on a bunch of toes. So we'll go with the Jewish sources. There's a ton of sources out there, but I'll stick with the Jewish ones because that's just safer. The Jewish scholar Jonathan Shorshak says this: Jewish merchants routinely possessed enormous numbers of slaves temporarily before selling them off. If a slave auction fell on a Jewish festival, it was postponed due to lack of buyers and sellers. The Jews of Suriname gave their slave plantations Hebrew names such as Machanaim, Nachamu, and Goshen. Rabbi Herbert Bloom adds that the slave trade was one of the most important Jewish activities. In 1694, Jews owned 9,000 African Shemites. Jewish slaving is in fact confirmed by the Jewish Encyclopedia. So, in the days that we live, there's nothing more important than this Melchizedek message to the true Shemites. Because this Melchizedek message of the true Shemites is the solution. It is the solution to the Palestinian problem. It is the solution to the Black Lives Matter that is being fomented by the synagogue of Satan. It is the solution to racial tensions, segregation, that is all part of the synagogue of Satan's plot for Yahweh's people to fight amongst themselves based upon the color of our skin. That is ridiculous, but that is what they want so that we keep our minds off of them as the true slavers of Yahweh's people. When we all realize who's behind this racial and political fermentation, the synagogue of Satan, and when we join the priesthood together as Joseph's coat, we're victorious. Then we're victorious over the New World Order slavers, their Luciferic, Levitical perversion. You see, they're obsessed with blood. They're obsessed with their own blood, and they're obsessed with your blood. But they're not obsessed with Yahusha's blood.
Kasamfoni etoso mienu kasamfoni mebo ne tofa kakra bi ama na ma social company no na de o maye no I said black Hebrews in Jewish slave ship sana na ye ka no say sa nkofo ye for mu Jewfo yi yedi kan akoma ba kwasem say omo ye nkofo a enye omo na Yankopon atwisu omo na emom omo afakoti kwan bi so na abetena asase no sa nkofo yi emre bi atwam sana Deuteronomy chapter 68 no Ekano 2868 no and I say 28 to 68 Ekano. And my young say nkofukuo bi ombeye slave ndonkofo sa ndonkofo no ehwa mo no moto sa Jewfo ya no mu claim say ende omo ne Yankopon afro mo masisi ana omo ne Yankopon kasamafo no owi ase no sa omo krampo omadi enipa gwa kura awa asase so sa nkofo ya omadi emudwa emene wo ya nananum omoko omototo mo ama ne de ekosi ene nkofo ya yehu omo se omo ye Jewfo omo claim se omo ene Yankopon afro omo kura no sana na omo ye ndonkofo atotofo omo to enti de training and I say video e ka chewa ne se Jewfo no omo ye mo omo to yen and I say ye nananum no omo twem ko ene omo claim se ene wiase no omo ne Yankopon afro omo no sana kasamfoni we empese e ma wote ase efa se omo to adonkofo sana kasamfoni no e kire over
that's enti ya omo claim say omo mbum omu na fa sa ne ma mu nyina ene ro kunya asase no enye enokre okay na obade ya Israel oni Israel ma Hebrew Israelites eko apam enum okay ba ko wo mu a ye de be kan asem Davidic covenant okay eno no be hu 2 Samuel 7:16 okay okay na Davidic covenant no anasa apam no wo mu ko no obade yan sapo a odi ye ne sise no o kire say the tribe of Judah eno ene benya ahemfu no a on the behwe Israel man so in a perpetual rule just say ekwo ohini bi obeba na say Messiah ni bi obeba bia no he said tribe of Judah ena obeba bi okay yenko highway of the sea page 8
highway of the sea page 8 okay. It is the Davidic covenant wherein God promises that there shall always be a king, to bracket carrier of the seed, to sit on the throne of David. Jerusalem is chosen as the capital of a united Israel, and the Ark of the Covenant is returned by David, to bracket 2 Samuel chapter 6 verse 3. The Davidic covenant 1. A Davidic house that is posterity family. 2. A throne that is royal authority. 3. A kingdom that is a sphere of rule. And then 4. In perpetuality is forever. Mbacho mediasi.
Enti said Davidic covenant he can say esa mo the two asukwa mpu can say ewe mebunu obo ade ahenie no still obi ofi the tribe of Judah in ebedi animu ama aba ebeba asase so yeah eto ni hwe wo mo ho a unso mo ye na inherit asase
France of
ede ni hu foundation of Jewish state of Israel the omo liberal democracy anti-ya social system nti ayedai na Davidic covenant watu achinu baby no mumu no democracy na aba the democracy by ya since the proclamation the Jewish state has been ruled by politicians. Okay. America and a all-time ally. In the end, America history. The largest population of so-called Jewish people in the West. What would do say 5 million? So 5 million Jews control American society. Politicians governments are baby America soon Jew and control as well as American economy as a Jew sponsor. Picture na to aso ne answer.
Yo, ye be hwe picture na to aso miensa. Nine of Anchami. Daily Graphic 20th August
19 Times.
Okay. Ghanaian Times mama. Okay, it's 5th one, oh, sorry. Ghanaian Times 8 June 1998. America and the Jews. But you say we ho afatu so man enfan kai asem. Edaso yenko.
Enti we baking kai. Ghanaian Times the article be by.
Okay.
Chiro Jewish love, you know what America, how powerful they are. Now, my backing kind story, so me and the car America, of course, the Bush and Navy. Of course, I see now, Chroma, whiny or boat close to me. Now, family member, Nathan, I ask me, see. oye Jew ose sir na hwan ni was abu bidi ya cheche mo kire no is a Jew and they to say one the control bibia kai mami
yo Ghanaian Times Monday June 6th 1998 America and the Jews member abodieno na mabo wie de mamin cross street the powerful Jews lobby in the United States is believed to be a factor in apparent soft handling of Israel by American government past and present. A magazine, The Atlantic, recently published an article which illustrates the situation in clearer terms. It states, an old illiterate Jew left Israel and went to visit his relative in the USA. On his arrival, he asked, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs in this country? A relative replied, here they say Secretary of State. A woman by name Madeleine Albright. She is a Jew and one of us. The visitor then asked, who is her deputy? Then the reply was a man called Martin Edlock, a Jew, and his assistant is also a Jew by name Dennis Ross. The old man, with inner satisfaction then asked, who is the Minister of Defense? The relative once again corrected the visitor. Secretary, they say here. Secretary, they say here. Anyway, he is also a Jew named William Cohen. The excited old man continued, who is the head of national security? The relative replied again, our cousin Samuel Beger, but the American called him Sandy Beger. The visitor still pressed on who is in charge of finance. Is the finance. The relative replied, a Jew called Robert E. Robin. The questionnaire continued, who is the governor of the central bank? The relative once again corrected the old man, saying, here in the US, it is called the Federal Reserve Board, and its chairman, a Jew, is called Alan Greenspan. At last, the old man inquired who is the president in the country. The relative said, an American called Bill Clinton. The old man was surprised, with his face turned pale. He asked, what is this stranger doing amongst you? The relative, however, beaming with confidence, assured the visitor not to worry because they were taking care of the president. Recently, he said, they had fixed on him a first advisor, a Jew by name Ram Emanuel, after covertly pushing out his predecessor, who is of Greek origin. Spontaneously, the old man remarked, now I know why the American president is in trouble. Though all these men and women mentioned above are nominal American citizens, their national allegiance first goes to Israel, with the US coming second.
Into the way Jews will control America. Until there be almost soft spot among them. Israel could some money bia no could pay UN here can want some America had a some bad objective. And I say, one Becca said here, one more on Bababo Israel for China. And then the church say, one more sir, Israel for one. The woman read their bomb and pump on Becca. As a more executive, no cabinet, now Israel for. It is a way now. Actually, send you city. And then, and I've been one more samba. Ebe country, the one country.
One more who was assassin, one more the holy people, one more the chosen of God. And you know, you know, now when you think of when you say, you be who say, one more serve the best interest of Yah Israel in their day-to-day activity. There's no sign Jewish nation of Israel. Okay. Instead of the multi-party democracy, and Asababe Dadaye, and so one person much say, one choosing people because Kribia one for democracy, and the other social system, oh, Kuatia or body. The other na more say, many are choosing, or body are choosing, money democracy ba, a becutia or body. Let's picture net was on.
The next picture twice what you share. I say, let's pretend we are the chosen people. And Pacho say picture no ha fatu sumai na into me you almost say edaso emma. Let's pretend we are the chosen people. So the next time you hear an Israeli prime minister bleating about so-called the persecution of the Jews, consider this: every prime minister of Israel has been an Ashkenazi Jew. Therefore, when all these prime ministers have accrued favor with the West for their re-establishment of Jewish homeland, they have knowingly and deliberately lied to you, as they were never from that region, and they will well known it, because it is they who call themselves Ashkenazi Jews.
And to say so, Israel, the Abban say, yeah. Almost all men say, in probably so many countries, you know. Do one more horror. After Israel, could be. And we more assimilated into the nations now. Horror. To be who cram now, warrior, Ubiako worry, Ubia only Juni, and the animal. And to almost Jessica, Cassia to hold more. One more day, Baba Chichi, and Nanti Anima Bar, or Maca country moon say, Mumra, Namuba, Mubaba, June Titian. Now, the answer and that's what I say. After all, the future is bright. Name a new bleak, send your moon. Can be your graphic in Kakra, you not the uncle here video know about democracy. Graphic 29 December 1999, and then the graphic maybe kind. Israel combat Jews assimilation. An Israeli minister unveiled a $210 million scheme on Monday to enable young Jews to visit Israel as a way to counter assimilation. It's an attempt to break down the situation where we are losing the fight for Jewish continuity, where 85% of Jewish youth will never see the state of Israel. Rabbi Michael Markwe, head of the moderate Medmat ultra-Orthodox party in Israel, coalition government, told a news conference. He said around 6,000 Jews, students aged 18 to 26 from 12 countries were due to arrive in Israel this week to take part in the Tag Lit or Birthright education program. They will receive free flights to Israel for 10 days of events, including trips to Jewish religious sites and cultural exchanges with young Israelis. The scheme is being funded by the Israeli government, that is the philanthropists and Jewish communities around the world. Organizers express the hope that it will bring about 50,000 Jewish youth to Israel over 5 years. The scheme was launched in response to warning by the community leaders that the number of Jews
in a worldwide diaspora who lose their religious and cultural root is growing. BBC.
Enti abi wi asase. Abi de mo nko po bibi akantu. Esa mo ba, ye mo quantity. Yes, se ni am beto aso amaye se ti so no ye kwa wonya. Ade a yenyen asase a yenyen de yenyen mu ne yenyen mu tira. Enti no de o mo ye no. Yanko back, yanko he video no aye ba behwe no. Enti sa o tinten a na me ti wo mo political system na sia e na abehu se 1 2 3 yanko to aba yenye se na so obo ade pa wo mo wo baby e ma no se yeni the nation no obo ade de se ni ehunu ebi ni Israel day to day asitrem bia ni ho sa yanko he video no
Abusia wo da sa o hwe Wake Up Africa na Wake Up Africa edu kwesede bi ebodu mienu kan na dwumadie no ahyase na edu memene na so a ebo do mienu pepepe na ya bo repeat sene be ya wo so betumi ahwe de ene course na wanyi adagere anhwe no na video e ba behwe no etoso emiensa era ye ba behwe na video no edi edaso no the Jewish state of Israel and its liberal democratic system and na ye ba behwe it is opening ayakradwa jagum na yenhwe evenka yasem.
Israel was founded in 1948 as a Jewish and democratic state. Jewish, the nation state of the Jewish people who returned and immigrated from all over the world, and democratic, a state where every citizen could vote regardless of religion or ethnicity, and where minority rights would be respected. The Knesset was created with 120 seats. That's a throwback to the 120-member ruling Great Assembly of the ancient Israelites. Each party runs with a list of candidates and they're elected proportionally. If a party gets 10% of the vote, it gets 10% of the seats, and the first 12 candidates on its list become members of Knesset. Israel was born as an ethnically, religiously, and socially diverse mosaic, and Israel's founders wanted everyone to have a stake in the democratic game, so it was important to make sure every group's voice was heard. That means Israel has one of the most representative systems in the world, where even small groups are represented, unlike countries where votes for the runner-up in each constituency simply go in the bin. And in such a diverse country, that means lots of different parties. No party has ever reached a majority of seats, 61, by itself, so anyone who wants to be prime minister needs to strike deals with smaller parties. This is called a coalition government. The prime minister is from one party, but the foreign minister, defense minister, and finance minister can all be from different parties. While Americans tend to think of their party affiliation as part of who they are, Israelis are much more likely to vote for brand new parties founded by charismatic leaders. So politicians with a personal following have an interest in running as the leaders of their own parties, and then they negotiate for a top job at the cabinet table. There are huge existential issues on the table, but sometimes it's difficult to tell the difference between rival parties because so much boils down to personality. That's why the parties keep changing from one election to the next, and why some of the most influential parties nowadays didn't even exist a year or two ago. In order to break things down, let's imagine the country like one big pie. The most obvious split would be between the Jewish and Arab population, with Arabs representing around 20% of Israeli citizens. There are two Arab parties. The first is the Joint List, an alliance between Arab nationalists and Arab and Jewish communists. The Arab parties have never been a part of the governing coalition, and they don't really want to be. Their goal? To promote the interests of Israel's Arab minority, which includes reducing crime rates in Arab communities and pushing for an end of Israel's military control of the West Bank, either as part of a formation of a Palestinian state or a single binational state, but by remaining ideologically opposed to Zionism, openly identifying with the Palestinian cause and explicitly rejecting Israel's character as a Jewish and democratic state. The Joint List effectively dooms itself to remaining in opposition forever. The second Arab party is Ram, the Islamist party, which is more socially and religiously conservative and draws a lot of its support from Bedouins in the Negev desert. One of the reasons it split off from the joint list was a dispute over gay conversion therapy, which it didn't want to ban. Its goals are very similar to the joint list, but it's much more pragmatic, open to collaborating with whoever is in power. The Jewish vote divides along several lines. Now, we can split the Jewish part of the pie between Haredi Jews, who make up about 10% of the population, and everyone else, and even the Haredi population is divided. There's Shas, which represents the mostly religious Mizrahi Jews, traditional, working class, and very socially conservative. The party has never had a woman member of Knesset, but when it comes to government spending, it's in favor of big welfare payments to support large families. Israel's religious Jewish character is a priority for Shas. And then there's United Torah Judaism, which represents religious Jews from Ashkenazi backgrounds. They also oppose any changes to the status quo of religion and state, which gives the rabbinate a monopoly over marriage, and which means there's almost no public transport on Shabbat. They're also against conscripting Haredi men into the army so that they can study at yeshivas. Both parties are eager to promote issues important to the Haredi community, maintaining the Orthodox rabbinate's control of religion and state issues, and securing funds for their growing communities. But what about the rest of the Jewish population? Well, we can still divide them between Orthodox but not ultra-Orthodox Jews and secular and traditionalist Jews. But here the lines are much blurrier. On the religious right-wing end of the spectrum, there's a shifting mix of religious nationalist parties which keep running under different names. They support hawkish stances on security issues, expanding Israel's settlements and rolling back the power of what they consider an overactive judiciary. On the secular right, Yisrael Beitenu, a party that appeals mainly to immigrants from the former Soviet Union and Israelis who are right-wing on security, but want to take a tougher stance against Haredi control of religion and state. On the left, Meretz and the Labour Party. They care about strengthening the welfare state and protecting the courts, which they see as the ultimate guarantor of Israel's liberal democratic character. But pummeled by the violent implosion of the peace process and changing demographics, the left has shrunk dramatically since the years when Labour ran the state. Meretz and Labour do really well in Tel Aviv and the kibbutzim, but in the rest of the country, most Israeli Jews now lean to the right. And then we have Israel's biggest parties. The giant is the right-wing Likud, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, who's been prime minister for a total of 15 years, 12 of them since 2009. The Likud claims that only Netanyahu can keep Israel safe from existential threats like Iran, make it economically strong, and stand up to what it calls a left-wing media and judiciary. The biggest party opposing the Likud is Yesh Atid, a centrist liberal party led by Yair Lapid that mostly appeals to Israel's secular middle class. They're liberal on social issues, including religion and state, such as allowing public transport on Shabbat and legalizing civil marriage. Other parties constantly split, merge, and reinvent themselves for every election. Take Blue and White, founded for the April 2019 election as a merger between former IDF Chief of Staff Benny Gantz's Israel Resilience Party and Yesh Atid. It was the biggest party in the September 2019 election with 35 seats, but by March 2021 it had collapsed to just 8. There's no shortage of issues for Israeli politicians to argue about, but in Israel, left and right don't always mean what you think. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict used to be what gave meaning to left and right. Left wing, divide the land and maybe create a Palestinian state. Right wing, build more settlements and maybe annex parts or all of the West Bank. But after several peace attempts failed and the unilateral withdrawal from Gaza in 2005 blew up in Israel's face, most Israelis lost hope that there was a partner for peace and became convinced a withdrawal from the territories would increase terror and possibly put their country in mortal danger. The Palestinian conflict is always there in the background, but no one expects much to change anytime soon. So what do left and right mean anymore? The truth is, it's difficult to say. In Israel, you can be pro-gay rights and for stricter environmental protections and still identify as right-wing. You can also be pro-free market and still identify as left-wing, because these labels were historically defined by where you stand on the Palestinian conflict, even if it's not the top electoral issue anymore. And the last few election cycles were largely about one thing. This man. He is now on trial facing 3 separate corruption charges. The center, left, and even some of Netanyahu's former allies on the right say it's unthinkable for a criminal defendant to run the country. Many of Netanyahu's rivals from across the political spectrum say no one should be prime minister for this long anyway, even though there are currently no term limits. But Netanyahu's supporters believe he's the only man who can lead Israel, keep it safe from its enemies, and make peace with the Arab world. And frankly, he's been prime minister for so long that many Israelis have forgotten what it's like to have anyone else in charge. Nowadays, it's become more about pro-Netanyahu and anti-Netanyahu blocs and less about left and right. And when the results last came in on election night, that's how the news channels broke down the results. Netanyahu, in alliance with the Haredim and the right-wing religious nationalists, versus the opposition, a divided bunch of centrist social democrats, Arab parties, secular nationalists, and even some right-wing parties hoping to replace him, each with their own candidate. Everyone wants to be king. But things really were much easier when Israel had just 12 tribes.
Democratic aspect no video na explaining no ho na message bi wa ha before say me call of our no the message bi be kan answer na wa answer sa message answer na wa toa sa and the other no so na am say can't pass over ho asem ya no see message ba kwa about see you gave Passover celebration to black Hebrews to celebrate on 14th April according to the Leviticus chapter 23 verse 5. Why are you celebrating on the 5th of this month, April, Mr. Apia Takrade?
Mr. Apia, I am saying we name Hebrew calendar ni. Bosumi bi ada yenu March, April, May, June. Sana Hebrew gente because o calculate here a toda afunu fiti asienu eba March. Sanya afidi enu ba enu 22nd and 23rd. Anywhere New Year yeah beginning of the first month. It is 23rd March the see ya na become 14 days. Edo baba 5th April. Until feeling features here no. Why wadrin say Gregorian calendar no say feeling features a specific day. 1st April, 2nd April, Sadamaye, it is the Biano. So, we Hebrew ni, and also person who share Hebrew unity. Tiasia say, months no, a dua March, April, and the first month no, of the Hebrew calendar. April, May, a second month on the Hebrew calendar. And yet, Bakum to send me a Gregorian answer. They who say January, February, when the other side you miss road. Okay.
You will find us with me answer. Pastor, video near Chevy. Na
send me Bibia. I explain Bibia how complex Israel for democratic system no a year. Even the Jews say orthodox, say traditional, say secular. We are in the party. And at your no person, oh, Yamani party man, or the other two. So, more, or bad, yes, or bad, then who yinka Israel, say, when the nation or bad, then Sadaswa, in Kenya politics. In David Akunya. And a better the but I know so be absent. Senior covenant in Mokan said there will always be a king, and I said there will always be a messianic person here. Oh no, there anymore. Or bad the she share any near my say you and then the other better church any day. How compare democracy now the bar. Now the catcher me say and sana be prime minister no we mukwa do baby okan. Was he prime minister and you wait me ya asumesi. They were the foreign minister, the finance minister, the defense minister, almost free other parties because what you mean 61 booth 61 seats. Ah, because say wow don't call for you. Wunya no, one man saw money muno. O say oh, my boy, I'm the minimum finance. Pampa my media, me start with 3 seats nako. Usually 3 seats ni here on bibia. Nti no adani finance na man. Onu party. Oba the boy. What you we are here also. Matumi coalition. Niba 3 seats go. O say me judge. Oh, they are brain now chinchiri po bi. Oh, we have come home. Sa na omu de no. Etie. Enti e me ben omu nyama ogbo ade. Omu nya bi ma wo. Aso omu say omu ye juice. Omu na ye choose. Ghana ha. Ye wo Judeo Christian churches bi. Ah, omu so followers no. Omu so ye nsesi ebo. Ye Jew for. Hey, who ye Jew ni? And the other inspiration, you know, one baby of you. So, we have identity. And all the other. Roll burn a woman like bass, no, a play in national affairs in Israel. Every news, and so, among the rabbis, woman like that synagogue in the church. And how different is it from Ghana? Ah, I saw one who no matter, sorry. Ghana is a democratic nation. And your body at the bank crime. You could tell your body by choosing democracy as the social system. No? And no matter body and pen, and only enforce the abase yenye anyway. And I'm here, American Vice President by ya LGBTQ assembly. And I don't want to be in Canada, Obiaka. So, democracy and a message democracy and LGBT and echo. What do you think of democracy? Not time LGBT. The best thing you can do is to disassociate yourself with democracy. And then the LGBT assembly a better. Now, once I walk LGBTQ, who can human rights and in echo. Edu baby and human right ada na ba no o tata mi sa LGBT for so can say human rights there so mo de no hia. Look at the confusion you put yourself. Ntino mo ma no so nko dani baby yehu nti do for no o mo no aba Ghana ha and e do for no e very embarrassing say me ube hu say Israel do for no more inspiration. And then you who say, Woman crown, woman yet in Ipokura, woman so moyen. The scripture will be become Revelation 3:9.
Yo, Yabakos Wakai. Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Yea, and that okay. Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have love for thee.
And you know, it was very embarrassing. So we call now, why will be a Jew? And the only Jew for then over who say we are Kaza, name of Winnie Jew. It was very, very embarrassing. Umfa mo amo ho adwene na afi munye de mbaye e wo mudachi na Michael ya to aso no na ka Palestine eno ebayi abidi ehini pa Palestine term no historian bi a na e no Herodotus on 5th century BCE okan ho asem no refer to a small part of land bi na southern Canaan Honsu na nkofo bia Bible mu benya di say from Philistines no. On be say part of Canaan. Nti akyire no other writers bear mu no. Omu nyina Bible refer to the whole land of Canaan no as Palestine. Emma small portion on the Philistines no one. A baba betray. But then yet kwa edine ho so the autonomy. Nti one more ne from Palestinians. E bibia ni ho sa. Nti e the history of Palestine mu a. O be kin kan bibi kakra bi o ha ma.
Okay.
I had muka kreya ena wobekan amami.
Yeah. Obisa okoso a wo hwe Wake Up Africa. Send a call for messages na Fabra. Nim say bibre na ba Fabra. Fabra bibre na menya adagere akan na wehu de wo bi se bia bibre na so ebisa say pastor date near 4th and 5th. It sounds say they are running. We must start to feed you. Am I confused? Israel being that actually date on the time, you know. Celebrate Ubenya a breno any time at the end of a chassis. It's time could you. You didn't have a mouth. Sena was a tea. BBM and you're confused. A fresh out baby the first time beer and the Yamatre from my okay. Palestine, history of a name. In the 13th century, okay. Okay. Wait.
Now bekai.
Okay. I'm saying what's the topic on here? Palestine versus Israel as the name of the Holy Land by Thomas S. McCall. There is a propaganda war going on now with regard to the term Palestine. At one time, it might have been argued that Palestine was an innocuous destination of a Middle Eastern area that is generally thought of as the Holy Land. During the last few decades, however, the term Palestine has been adopted by Arabs living in Israel in the area west of the Jordan River. It is specifically employed to avoid the use of the name Israel and must be considered an anti-Israel term. In all Arab maps published in Jordan, Egypt, etc., the area west of the Jordan River is called Palestine. Without any reference to Israel, Palestine is a term now used by those who want to deny the legitimate existence of Israel as the genuine nation among the family of nations.
Enti wena Arafat any woman can honi ye woman take a position be say oh din Palestine no ba ye cha enti ye kwa ye nananom na na ye pro Palestinians emi abanti ye nye ntra ho eno bi ma meje ye sase aje na ba ye kosi sai emra na David ni mo ho no ye pro no the land of Israel and you have Samuel 13:19 yankai
okay
and sana 135 AD
yeah
Israel boy butu etia Rome Emma Emperor Hadrian ono no ho sa time odi abuo e kan so wa sisa asase ni din enye Israel biem ese friend Palestine na nka be mpo a yentimi pepa wo mo abakosem ni wo mu bibia emprim eno no ko Psalm 83 a eno so yankan eno so e wo ho no nti we mu take advantage eno wo mu ye say ni sadia ye ni Palestinians no eno aba eno ensase ye e sinipi aka mo bi ati ase Palestine has never existed as an entity with any autonomous recognition there. I'll be here catch say Corona in Palestine any one Palestinian culture any Palestinian language any Palestinian no why you the kasa back or Arabic. Na mamre ni bibia Arab for nema. Yen twaso sesi a ma yen konko hihye bibia. Na de ba ya ama sesi o mo gina ho ni say between 11th and 13th century. Yeah. And 6 million Europeans of all nationalities by taking part in Entokobia near Crusaders Wars. Okay. Starting under Roman Catholic sponsorship. Pope Urban II. Ono no di animu say asase bi da baabi infidels bi na ho sabe na Islam and as a followers Muslims on the betik over emra AD 70 ba ya you free assassin no solo actually no na Mohammedan forces on the take over so no me 24 6 million Europeans here ba here and no be win we ababo no saba no be win we ababo no across the hundreds of years and Santo Kwanba. And you are quiet by a quiet banner. And I will feel me before starting so more in time and go or more and check and a population in a area home. A bed done in white. The bed done in white are spilling over to North Africa. And no more say, you original people know a honeymoon. And you know. Lapa Islam, your religion. Lapa lifestyle no, connected to the religion. Until you pass here up as the original inhabitants of the land. Then no and also my Jew who here say I don't know how that the young Concordia. I also about the prayers as I say no mudia. I will ban the and almost never buy. One by almost by on Benya Vido, and a disa and Tokana Beda Womunte, and your dear and your media. I don't know if you printed other time in an office of Membi. Now, what assassinate your dear? No, I better. If I say, Kofia Dico, if you water, ya eat Beni, Sawara. We are high, near Israel and Chroma, the free man Cassim, a Sawara, we are Fantini, and a Moja assassin. Ena mutititi yanu wabi nyaba ebi accident rape eke sa beji assassin because Rona assassin ye peniwa eyewo na no abeba next week na ebehwe eno ho asem aka na ni be wie no na me ka se ene no we hear last picture no we hear last video okay na tezem ni kwaku. Okay, yeah, picture it was 7. Euro Arabs taking over of North and Northeast Africa. And the baby, you know, what was never can say. Omu Daniel Bofuno. Who call Israel now? Who bring thousands of Palestinians? Omu the Omu ye a before blacks. Until say a poor boy with the skin color. Baba just as mudia. Na remnants of one more no motiwa mobeto womuno ebida ho. Every last video. You show your last video. Your last video ni black Palestinians. Black Palestinians are visible in Israel. Black Palestinians are visible in Israel. And then your Casafonia itwacho and the Jumidi. Tisaya Kradwa openi jegumumai.
A notable biblical scholar who explained one origin of African presence in the Bible. Genesis 10:1 refers to the sons of Noah as Shem, Ham, and Japheth, who themselves had sons after the flood. Genesis 10:6 refers to the Hamites as the sons of Ham, who inhabited North and Northeast Africa. The sons are Cush, which is present-day Ethiopia, Mizraim, present-day Egypt, Put, present-day Libya, and Canaan, which is present-day Palestine, Israel. The African presence is still visible in Israel today. There are thousands of African Palestinians who live in Israel with deep roots to the land, whose ancestors date back for centuries. I met with Ali Jaddah, tour guide, and the informal mayor of the African Palestinians in Old Jerusalem. I asked him about his life and relations between the Afro-Arabs and the Jews.
Well, life for him, I think it's the hell. I'm one of those people who had experienced that. To be Palestinian, that's a big problem. But to be a black Palestinian, I'm quite convinced it will be the hell, because as a black Palestinian, I am double oppressed by the Israelis.
In what way?
In what way? I will explain. First of all, they oppress me as a Palestinian. Secondly, they oppress me because of my color. Whenever I go around in the Israeli side, they call me Kushi. Kushi means nigger. Kushi means nigger.
So, the land of God, the Arabs, two brothers. You are called nigger as I am called nigger in America?
Let's say on the surface, this is what they say, that this is the land of God and we are cousins and there should be total equality. But once you come to the practice, when you come on ground, you will find that there is a lot of discrimination and there is a real divorce between what they say and what they exercise.
Black and white who watch the show saying, so why say? Why say when you are called nigger every day? Why say when you are denied your rights?
On the contrary, the more they humiliate me, the more they oppress me, the more I stick to my land. Because this is my land. I'm so rooted. We are deeply rooted as Africans, as Palestinian Africans in this land. And we know pretty well that our ancestors, I'm talking about thousands and thousands of years, had been here in this country, but they were spread away, taken to Africa, from Africa to the United States. So the more they exercise brutality, the more they exercise oppression against me, the more we are determined to stay, because this is our homeland and we have a message, we have a holy message that this land should be the land of real peace, not the false peace that they are talking about it now.
As I did the interview, I couldn't help but be amazed at the dismal setting. We were in Old Jerusalem, in the city of walls, sitting in an old jail called Prison's Gate.
It had been built by the Mamluks. The Mamluks.
Which are?
They are Arabs, Muslims who came from Syria and occupied this area. We are talking about a period of 1358. About 600-700 years old, this place. Then afterwards, this place was taken by the Turks, when the Turkish Empire occupied the whole area over here. So those places were transferred to jails. Originally, those places were built for pilgrims, people who come from Mecca, outsiders. So the Mamluks wanted some places where they can stay, where they can serve them, give them food, and they have toilets, all these things. But once the Turks came over here, they transferred those places to prison. In the place you are sitting just now, they used to locate people who were sentenced to life, while in the other section, they used to locate people who were sentenced to death. Okay, I have a dream. I have a dream. It's not only me, all my people over here, that a day will come and we will have better conditions so that we can move from this prison, you see. But I think it's not only the name that gives it that definition, it's a prison.
And the name is?
In the meantime, I can say the whole area, the whole place that we are living is a prison, is a jail.
Not just this building?
No, not just this building. I'm talking about, in general, about the total situation. You can live in a very bombarded villa, apartment, outside, but you are still in jail because you are deprived of your freedom, freedom of expression. Try to imagine I'm living in a big villa, a millionaire. I have a Pontiac, 1997. Once I go in the street, they call me nigger. So what does it mean? It's nothing. It's nothing in front of my self-dignity, my personal dignity, my human dignity. I think I can talk that we are living in a big jail.
When you break now, with me, I share your cousin for the catwalk and neck. Now, your cousin for the catwalk and say, kind when I died, and watch that, I say, and bring tea, and because I make trim tree a better into Mako fowl. Now, the old man and son is Rishako Israel, or not the old man, not in the medium of a baby. Over.
Oh, Mike, my dad said the answer me now, baby, and then you're who the entire. One mom somewhere Palestinians, white Palestinians, any woman, or more say, or more white Jews. The car back was saying more car who baby. One top and no way. Who say, we are call me a cocoa, assassin and yet, a baby, ancient pay. Found the name Pamdi, already went the but the said Pambu, and the Muslim. Empinso man, let empinso man. And ye, one more son, and we now move back to home. Tell my son she, okay, down. Okay, more Munjaji, who also be Jew, who also take down a house, Palestinian course, no, Otachi, we now want trans. I mean, Manuel, you that's it, Wafa, Udi, the whole Amay. Some of I come. Maybe did some message, but opening maybe didn't area. I'm so near the fee. I'm to one of the Arab countries. No man was on training. As a Mike, you guys are doing a very great job. Kudos to Wafaya and Israel. I am most often hear Israel call the Mosaic Messiah Yeshua, but when we want to make some correction here, the Messiah true Hebrew name is Yeshua, which stem from the creator name Yahuwah. Yah is the poetic form of the name Yahuwah. So Yeshua means Yah, Shah, Yah. So Yasha, save or deliver. So in short is Yashua, means Yahuwah is our savior. Meet me I can do one. Now after me I'm from now Yachiritia or Pachino. It's a baby I don't know. May call Israel chain now the no mind or my it's where crowd yes we shouldn't call Israel and could see no mind. Israel
Mickey
okay
the Akran Juma
okay I do time
what's my home Akra Juma but what be an head there or can history or not assassin but transfer or can't my can be my okay program we any pair more a ditch dozen a fashion the Bruno who say you cannot cry. But before we can say you can say deism. You can't chill a baba. Now, for can say, but the year 2023 to 2030, you will see. And no, not my mere bahana. And so, my lady, say a Western agenda, more pushy, at the African for until gay in the day into your home film. Okay. And then, that's how baby. Yeah. They are 4 years to be like 4 years and could see that.
And no crime permission with other social media. I recommend you see they will march to President boot to boot about.
They lie. They lie. Now our name, you know, now hopper the African culture, way of marriage. About fear the punchy are my baby back. And the is your home. Never bunny. One man, one wife, and then your bunny. About fair is a side of you. Do back and a mujane. What's your about quantum?
The gaze in
Brother. You can't sama, Mamma will be a new year. You can't correct them. They do one year holiday and they work holiday. Amen. HOLI. na HOLY bonsam electric the ekwano edwada abada okra na kumase no na ye holy day obade odema nipa the friend Easter Christmas and then a holiday until Monty.
May share a quick correction. I will see the event of Edwada, a Benada, a new quada. A day in Ancasano Ed Abbey.
Wednesday.
Okay.
A China Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night Okumase.
Yeah.
The number.
Okay.
Was Passover, in Nino and a pap, in Nino, Dino and a joke.
Yeah.
Right, good. You know, Wednesday and a journal. Obi baby no achakra 5 na what chance na no nsia kono na mpene fasa lai no mo ba na isi bi ase sundown entino anu na ye din kopon aka park babro no mu ri bi hono mo e ka say ye Easter nowhere or Good Friday. And then we hear a quan home and that member you know, piece of for a book at bread, Palm Sunday. Oh, Mamma Bow.
Mamma turned to me, Uzana Latin now, but what's it?
Okay, Papa. Can't almost say, we are more Papa. Bible say, a 7 man, say, so you're a couple. No deep, no man, some so. No, we need to put in there. I said, dear, we need to put in I said, dear, and it pass over. You're a kind of animal. It's a kind of say, a Dean Jason, a wrong name. Family as a cry. Yanka, we definitely feel right or test a message. Looking in the crack, Yeshua, we need a dear come, Yahweh, the come. You see, I know, you Saba. Some say, boy. I give you four.
No, your pastor, too.
Okay.
Yes.
If do you know how many years say 2 years, a draw a fake. It didn't who
in the name of Jesus.
You know, for a said, you know, who knew.
Boom, 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 man.
Who knew?
Yes.
Israel Parliament. What tell you? Israel Parliament. I'm sure Azan, a deal exam for your son. My young woman, I to Parliament say, on Parliament, friend of Knesset. Knesset. Turn a friend. I must say, young bundle a day Jesus Christ and all Israel. Oh,
yeah, great. Document viewer.
Now, about the side deal, the civil yase. It's a day, some that don't conform assassin suani, and to Nadia, a deal, a collect name. And to the young band of Dino. Now, I also be able to side the name with Zabiano in Jeruno. Into from the side, we say, I got to Parliament.
Who was I going to see Jinu?
I feel no more at the Parliament.
Okay.
I'm more home. At your door. Okay. Yeah. Yankopon bo edom emumhwe se ne sidi Passover. Enu Yankopon asaso konsai ebiyem. Ayemi
Crown law to ban preaching of Jesus Christ in Israel.
Then the kind of man has say papa no wa mawiase. Obi so eboa, o ma tare say eboa. Then the kind say edi me no ma fa Jesus Christ ba wiase. Odo na be see wiase we say onante so ne no kore. Roma free edi no mo create ye to deceive the world or to build Roman kingdom.
Okay.
And then also papa no Israel boa.
Yes.
They will Israel boa.
Sir.
See.
Then you didn't know my band in there.
O come say you for emperor Sam.
Yeah.
You for say you say Ora na fa Yeshua HaMashiach. Oh.
Yeah.
Right. Now din Jesus Christ no I get let me cry tro. O come was say you for there o mo pe Yankopon Sam you for there o mo pe you so enye no cry you for ni say papa no friend Yeshua HaMashiach. The din Jesus Christ no there you just kwa ma And to be better about Israel and about Jesus Christ Biano jail tai. Today, no what?
Plan law to ban preaching of Jesus Christ in Israel.
Yeah. Breaking sabo.
Sir, date no cry fresh. It is possible that the Israeli government this year could pass legislation making it illegal for people to share the gospel message in very land where Jesus was born. Race preached, died, buried, and rose from the death. Unfortunately, yes. A Palm Sunday and Easter approach, the two most scared days on the calendar for those who follow Jesus as both God and Messiah. Two members of the Knesset, Israel Parliament, Knesset, sorry if I'm wrong, Knesset, Israel Parliament introduced a bill last week that would ban any and all effort to tell people about Jesus.
What? I feel the yet run away. You see, then the crack at Big Yassi. But when you go for one, who in the pemu? Who will some swap? Who in the pemu? When some bad animal. Okay, and chair or bar. But when you go for one, go for who in the pemu. Who will some swap? When some who in the pemu.
Okay.
When some, when one said, when some near the father, when some. That's a young couple on some, the who in the pemu. Some of our pay account to one, and then have them. In Timakia, you come with the holiday. You come with the holiday. Holy.
Yes, from.
Sinyame and Sawum.
Yeah.
You need pa. I shot one more. And you come with it. You do not some more. You're welcome, Mumra. You're welcome, Papa. Now, you're confident idea, Papa. Free the man movement before your idea, Papa. No, I believe what? I'm a contribution. I'm also doing the piano. I'm going to the peche. I'm the peche. No fun and pub on to body. Now, it's the possible Michiano. Possible Michiano. A beer, I can't. My idea, I am proud to be a member and the coordinator and the chief of staff.
Chief of staff.
Yes, sir. I am proud.
Yeah.
Say, the buyer, no, I'm going to come so more month for contributor. Say, a good piano, the minute in the freedom. Yeah, said that. Until no baby piano. But what is that? If you don't go upon by a coincide with the Almighty. Only is the beam, only holiday beam, but the holiday. Only holiday beam. On some nipa, is a beam.
H-O-L-I,
H-O-L-I, the holiday, no only beam, but the holy. That's it. I go upon a ball. And see, who clear the Inisia. Or baby piano, Boko, lost from Jim. Nibia, my fair, and for Edmundam, Abma Israel. Yahweh.
Israel, that's it. And then, one is somewhere with the Abba. But to me, after me break a car, I can't bear 10 to 8 minutes to be to me after him. The Obidia Banner said, okay, let me read it. I say, Shalom, Hebrew teachers, please. Then it means those who went to slavery in Egypt are not white, but are blacks. I'm Kweku from Asin, Tamakrum. Offer for our first series, Wake Up Africa, Patron Udini, baby, our free.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Good afternoon. The day the call and make a fleet trade.
You tell the young question.
The first question is Hebrew Casa. And then I can Casa and so have an Dantemu.
You.
That was it.
You see, I say. Obi bisa say Hebrew Casa near can Casa, so you have been a Dantemu. Maybe you are not send our pen. We also see great Hebrew teachers. You have done it all. May Yah bless you for your light you have shown us and encourage.
Hello.
Hello, our friend for our friends in Who Wake Up Africa, but your baby our friend in
okay, this is the film.
Okay.
and me said, "Meda of Poku, young Quapipa, no, Mamma shall dear man, give me."
Okay.
So, if you give me Hebrew, Yankasanka, maybe being also Hebrew to the friend say, "No, the Papa, and you Israel, wow, I'm not so many white in a media." Assassin a black, yeah. Meaning says some task will come, but look at Kutomo, and what happened, Madame Massey.
Yeah, that's so phrasing. I see great Hebrew teachers, you have done it all. May Yah bless you for the light you have shown us. And call Esau, Viniba, and all the Bible. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, baby. I'm afraid you will wish you wake up Africa. Good afternoon, it's okay, baby. I'm afraid you wake up Africa. You enjoy your okay. I'm sorry, are you ready? Are you ready? You need to now. You call another message. So, I see good teachers. Indeed, we are deeply awakened. You are deeply awakened for me. I have awaked long time, but now, me with your whole party. Hello. Offer for our facing. We didn't maybe our friend. Okay, yeah, confused. Yeah.
And I'm a better me friend, and that would Mr. Kumsi number be 2 Jan, and number my lost Nikaka, but person may be made your friend and pass over Nibi.
Okay.
What that Friday, and my journey, Mr. Kumsi were a clan.
I cried a Kwame Wow, maybe Takari for Mama, Bema, and Linda, I don't know that or Takari until we are framing 0504643052. Framing the Linda, no man, text on our friend. Now, from how do you body of why? Offer maybe I'll with the Ocean Wake Up Africa.
Hello?
Hello, me Tonka.
Family.
You young Quenty.
You better make a say a California Hebrew for, and also so much you saying, because Casa Benami, I said, and I'm also more legend than Mudinachi. Our Clement said, a California Hebrew for, and so much you saying. Okay,
I have fast. Saka to me my
a book be done a kind book or two or next crowd book crowd beba
book berry a book
you of course I can messages I see Michael, please talk about the dressing for the Passover. You dress and instead of me kind say African wear offer for facing maybe with the Ocean Wake Up Africa.
Hello,
Pacho Metonka.
Pacho Richard, the cat of you.
Okay, I'm going to.
With our funny dry oh, message perform the other day. You say, your holiday, but holiday in the Abrofuna, or my case, Diamai.
Okay.
May you say, Ebia, Passover, remember.
Okay, that's it. That's soon. Right. We will decide dressing code, dressing code in African wear. I am nice. What's so hello? Nice. Hello, baby. I'm feeling with you. Ocean Wake Up Africa. Okay. So now we be sano African way and obese. Offer for our facing baby. Feeling with the Ocean Wake Up Africa.
But I'm free takradi.
Okay, young Kweja.
Hello.
Yeah, meton ka within young.
But you might takradi.
You young Kwe.
Oh yeah, and so yeah, yeah. I have to what you are doing now with us at the Amaye.
Okay.
Now, takradi for ya have went better no friend, no. Better no friend. On the TV now say na on fa takradi no man. Na you did the ABC etna. The takradi for your baby. And one friend, one friend, no man, that's not takradi and non friend of the Marcus.
Okay.
That was fast.
You dressing code in the American African way. Now, what's your nice one? I'm saying your last call be about so offer from the African with the Ocean Wake Up Africa.
Hello,
Ocean Wake Up Africa.
So, Mohammed.
Okay.
I'll do about one to tell more from my say. I am saying, Christians no obi o ha o say awore menu enye na mom ndo ware ba ko na ko perfect o say ni de ene de en happy they said the market chire mo muncho Africa we believe here nyoma ye mama asofo no anda dai e kama
okay that's it aware na asem na professor de o kan no bisa mami fa dressing code na fa udi editum so na make an over African wear na wa pair on pop one nice one bi we will keep wa shibi so we need bi so oba obenye bi ato ho enye white African wear and ebe na odi aba na jumedi no akoso fefefe so na yen time no aka few minutes bi over okay over we go to tofa afa the way no na time na ka
make an say obi a person nyankopon ebiti nhemu bia no ebe kan no bibia no amanfo nim amati but omun ne bida nyema ebeye pastor bewe betalif bewe honey omun hu bida wo already bidi bet of a kind wo obedi no wrong time onim calendar no say si ready fa obedi no wrong time and na nyema e di no so no onim sa de no you say asori bi amantam odwan sa age wo mu amantam odwan
en time no so
I'm trying
okay
odwan ya ju man nko na mo ma share the way see deep Passover no onye nkopon aba ba reconcile e fi hoko no nyame nhira ebe kan na say afase bia no nhira ewo entino when say ya fan kwa bonten obi bia na person nkopon anti bia no omra oba abatrase wodi become onye body nhira what they call no
yera se sena of Israel come a branity and opinion edina no yesime twa to aba sasuna for Israel so edina no yesime twa to aba yankopon ya dum a kwesiada yemi besen ahia senetie onti on the 5th inga yekop mase na yakwa akudi Passover yankopon ka ho obade nka ho na yin na machine bye bye medini Michael Asma